Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! Emmett felt his pulse synchronizing with the rhythmic beats reverberating through the city's air as he stood before the exclusive nightclub. His heart charged with anticipation. Months of anticipation for this night built up, to witness the legendary DJ's performance, now at his fingertips. But as he neared the door, his elation morphed into unexpected dejection. "Ladies' Night," the radiant neon sign announced. "Free entry exclusively for women." His aspirations crumbled, crushed by this gender-coded offer. Just then, his phone vibrated. A text from Sarah. "Where have you reached?" "I thought you were going to the show tonight." Emmett sighed and typed back a quick explanation. Within seconds, his phone lit up with an incoming call. "Don't you dare give up that easily," Sarah's voice crackled through the speaker. "I have an idea. Come over to my place right now." Intrigued and desperate, Emmett made his way to Sarah's apartment. When she opened the door, he was greeted by a mischievous grin and an armful of clothing. "Put these on," she instructed, shoving the bundle into his arms. Emmett looked down at the sparkly black miniskirt, red crop top, and stilettos with a mix of trepidation and excitement. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. You want to get into that club, don't you? Trust me, once we're done, you'll sail right past security." For the next hour, Sarah worked her magic. She helped Emmett into the borrowed outfit, applied makeup with expert precision, and even produced a long auburn wig that cascaded down his back in soft waves. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, Emmett barely recognized himself. The person staring back at him was a stunning woman with long, shapely legs, accentuated by the short skirt and high heels. The crop top revealed a flat midriff, and the auburn hair framed a face transformed by Sarah's skillful contouring. "Meet Remy," Sarah announced proudly. "Now let's get you to that club." As they approached the entrance for the second time that night, Emmett, now Remy, felt a mix of nerves and exhilaration. He wobbled slightly on the unfamiliar heels, but managed to effect a confident stride as they neared the bouncer. The burly man at the door gave Remy an appraising look, his eyes lingering on the long auburn hair and sparkly skirt. With a nod, he unclipped the velvet rope. "Enjoy your evening, ladies." Remy's heart soared as they stepped into the club. The music washed over them, and the energy of the crowd was electrifying. Sarah gave Remy's hand a squeeze. "You did it. Now go enjoy your night. I'll be by the bar if you need me." With newfound confidence, Remy made his way through the sea of bodies towards the DJ booth. The music grew louder, the bass thumping in perfect sync with Remy's racing heartbeat. As he got closer, he could see his idol, DJ Pulse, working the turntables with expert precision. Remy found a spot near the front of the crowd, close enough to the booth to catch occasional glimpses of DJ Pulse in action. The music was intoxicating, and Remy found himself swaying to the beat, lost in the moment. During a transition between tracks, DJ Pulse looked up from his equipment, his gaze sweeping across the dance floor. His eyes locked with Remy's for a brief moment, and a smile played at the corners of his mouth. Remy felt a blush creep up his cheeks, thankful for the dim lighting that hid his reaction. As the night wore on, Remy danced with abandon, reveling in the freedom of his new persona. He caught DJ Pulse glancing his way several times, each look sending a thrill through his body. During a brief break in the set, Remy decided to seize the moment. He made his way to the VIP section, flashing a confident smile at the security guard. To his surprise, the guard simply nodded and let him pass. Heart pounding, Remy approached the DJ booth. DJ Pulse was adjusting some equipment, his back turned. Remy cleared his throat softly.
"Excuse me?"
DJ Pulse turned, his eyes widening slightly as he took in the sight of Remy.
"Well, hello there,"
he said, his voice a smooth baritone that sent shivers down Remy's spine.
"I was hoping you'd make your way over here."
Remy felt his cheeks flush again. "I just wanted to tell you how much I love your music. You're incredibly talented." DJ Pulse's smile widened. "Thank you. That means a lot. I couldn't help but notice you out there. You've got some impressive moves yourself. What's your name?"
"Remy,"
he replied, the lie coming easily now.
"Remy,"
DJ Pulse repeated, as if savoring the sound. "I'm Leo. Listen, I've got about 10 minutes before I need to start my next set. Would you like to join me up here? I could show you a bit about how it all works." Remy's heart leapt. This was beyond his wildest dreams.
"I'd love that,"
he managed to say, trying to keep his voice steady. Leo extended a hand, helping Remy up into the booth. The next few minutes were a blur of excitement as Leo explained the basics of his equipment, even letting Remy try his hand at a simple mix. As Leo prepared to start his next set, he turned to Remy.
"Listen, I'm having an after-party at my hotel once the show's over. Nothing crazy, just a few friends. Would you like to come?"
Remy hesitated for a moment. This night had already gone far beyond what he had imagined. But the thought of spending more time with Leo, of getting to know the man behind the music, was too tempting to resist. "I'd love to," Remy said with a smile. Leo's face lit up. "Great! I'll have my assistant give you the details. For now, why don't you enjoy the rest of the show from up here? Best seat in the house." As Leo turned back to his equipment and the music began to swell once more, Remy felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. He was living out a dream, but at what cost? How long could he keep up this charade? And what would happen when the truth inevitably came out? For now, though, he pushed those thoughts aside. He was determined to enjoy every moment of this unexpected adventure. The rest of the night passed in a blur of pulsing beats and flashing lights. Remy stayed in the DJ booth, alternating between watching Leo work his magic and dancing to the music. Every so often, Leo would glance over with a smile that made Remy's heart skip a beat. As the final song faded out and the crowd erupted in cheers, Leo turned to Remy with a grin. "What did you think?" "It was incredible!" Remy gushed, his voice barely audible over the noise of the club. "I've never experienced anything like it." Leo's smile widened. "I'm glad you enjoyed it. Are you still up for the after-party?" Remy nodded, pushing down the flutter of nervousness in his stomach.
"Absolutely. Great,"
Leo said. He gestured to a man standing nearby.
"This is my assistant, Mark. He'll make sure you get to the hotel safely. I need to pack up here, but I'll see you soon."
Mark led Remy out of the club and into a waiting car. As they drove through the city, Remy's mind raced. He knew he should call Sarah, let her know where he was going, but he was afraid she might try to talk him out of it. Instead, he sent her a quick text.
"Having an amazing time. Don't wait up."
The car pulled up to a luxurious hotel, and Mark escorted Remy to a private elevator.
"The party is in the penthouse suite,"
he explained.
"Mr. Pulse will be arriving shortly."
As the elevator ascended, Remy's nerves began to get the better of him. What was he doing? He was way out of his depth, pretending to be someone he wasn't. But before he could act on his doubts, the elevator doors opened, revealing a stunning penthouse suite filled with a small group of stylishly dressed people. Mark introduced Remy to a few of Leo's friends and industry contacts. Remy did his best to play it cool, sipping on a glass of champagne and nodding along to conversations about music production and upcoming festivals. About half an hour later, Leo arrived. He made his way through the room, greeting guests, but his eyes kept finding their way back to Remy. Finally, he made his way over.
"I'm glad you made it,"
Leo said, his voice low and intimate, despite the noise of the party.
"Can I get you another drink?"
Remy nodded, following Leo to the bar. As Leo mixed their drinks, he asked,
"So, Remy, tell me more about yourself. What do you do when you're not dancing in clubs?"
Remy felt a moment of panic. He hadn't prepared a backstory for his female alter ego.
I'm a student,"
he said, deciding to stick as close to the truth as possible.
"Studying music production, actually."
Leo's eyes lit up.
"Really? That's fantastic. What got you interested in that?"
As Remy began to talk about his genuine passion for music, he felt himself relaxing. The conversation flowed easily, moving from music to books to travel. Leo was charming and attentive, hanging on Remy's every word. As the night wore on, the party began to wind down. Guests started to leave in twos and threes until only a handful remained. Leo and Remy had moved to a quiet corner of the balcony, the city lights twinkling below them.
"I'm really glad I met you tonight, Remy,"
Leo said, his eyes intense as they met Remy's.
"There's something special about you."
Remy felt a rush of guilt. Leo thought he was special, but it was all based on a lie. He knew he should come clean, but the thought of ruining this perfect night was unbearable. "I feel the same way about you," Remy said softly. It wasn't a lie. He had admired Leo for years, and getting to know him personally had only deepened that admiration. Leo leaned in, and for a heart-stopping moment, Remy thought he was going to kiss him. Instead, Leo reached out and tucked a strand of Remy's auburn hair behind his ear.
"I have to leave for my next show tomorrow,"
he said.
"But I'd really like to see you again. Can I get your number?"
Remy's mind raced. This was his chance to gracefully exit the situation, to let the night remain a beautiful memory. But the thought of never seeing Leo again was painful.
"I'd like that,"
Remy heard himself say. He recited his real phone number, figuring that if Leo tried to contact Remy and failed, at least he would have tried. As the last of the guests left and Leo called Remy a cab, they shared a lingering hug.
"I'll call you,"
Leo promised. In the back of the cab, as the events of the night replayed in Remy's mind, he felt a mix of elation and dread. He had lived out a fantasy, but at what cost? And what would happen when Leo inevitably discovered the truth? The next morning, Emmett woke up with a pounding headache and a flood of memories from the night before. He groaned, burying his face in his pillow. What had he been thinking? His phone buzzed, and he reached for it groggily. It was a text from Sarah. "How did it go last night? Did you meet your DJ?" Emmett sighed, typing back a quick,
"It's complicated. Can we meet for coffee?"
An hour later, Emmett sat across from Sarah in a quiet cafe, recounting the events of the previous night. Sarah's eyes grew wider with each revelation. "So, let me get this straight," she said when he finished. "You not only got into the club and met DJ Pulse, but you spent the entire night with him, went to his after-party, and gave him your real phone number?" Emmett nodded miserably. "I don't know what I was thinking. I got caught up in the moment, in being Remy. It felt so freeing. Sarah reached across the table and squeezed his hand. Hey, it's okay. You had an amazing experience. Maybe it doesn't have to end badly. How could it not? Emmett asked. Leo thinks he met a woman named Remy. If he calls, what am I supposed to say? Before Sarah could respond, Emmett's phone buzzed. His heart nearly stopped when he saw the message. Hey, Remy, it's Leo. I had an amazing time last night. I can't stop thinking about you. I know I'm about to get on a plane, but I was wondering if you'd like to video chat later? Emmett showed the message to Sarah, his hands shaking. What do I do? Sarah bit her lip, thinking. You have two choices, she said finally. You can either ignore it and let Leo think Remy disappeared, or what? Emmett asked desperately. Or you can tell him the truth. Emmett stared at her in disbelief. Are you crazy? He'll hate me. Sarah shook her head. Maybe. Or maybe he'll understand. You didn't do this to trick him or hurt him. You did it because you're passionate about his music and wanted to see him perform. That has to count for something. Emmett considered her words. The thought of coming clean was terrifying, but the idea of never speaking to Leo again was equally painful. I need to think about it, he said finally. Over the next few days, Emmett agonized over what to do. Leo sent a few more messages, each one making Emmett's heart ache. He wanted to respond, to hear Leo's voice again, but he was paralyzed by fear and indecision. Finally, nearly a week after that fateful night, Emmett made his decision. He couldn't live with the lie any longer. With trembling fingers, he dialed Leo's number.
Remy?
Leo's voice was warm and excited. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten about me. Emmett took a deep breath. Leo, I need to tell you something. Can you video chat? There was a pause. Then Leo's concerned voice came through. Of course. Is everything okay? Not really, Emmett said. But I owe you the truth. A moment later, the video call connected. Emmett saw Leo's face, handsome and worried, fill the screen. He watched as confusion, then shock, spread across Leo's features.
I don't understand,
Leo said slowly.
Remy?
My name is Emmett, he said, his voice shaking. I'm so sorry, Leo. I never meant to deceive you. I'm a huge fan of your music, and when I saw it was ladies' night at the club, I made a stupid decision. I just wanted to see you perform. Leo was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Emmett rushed to fill the silence. I know what I did was wrong. I got caught up in being Remy, in the excitement of the night. But I need you to know that everything else, our conversations, the connection I felt, that was all real. I'm still the person you talked to that night, just not exactly as you thought. Leo ran a hand through his hair, his brow furrowed. I don't know what to say, Emmett. I don't even know how I feel. I understand, Emmett said quietly. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just couldn't keep lying to you. Leo was quiet for another moment, then let out a long breath. I appreciate your honesty, Emmett. I won't pretend I'm not shocked and a little hurt. But I meant what I said that night. There was something special about you, Remy or Emmett. I felt a real connection. Emmett's heart leapt. Really? Leo nodded slowly.
I need some time to process all this, but I'd like to talk again, if that's okay with you. Maybe we can start over, get to know the real you.
Emmett felt a wave of relief wash over him.
I'd like that very much.
As they ended the call, Emmett felt a mix of emotions: relief, hope, and a lingering anxiety about what the future might hold. But for the first time since that night at the club, he felt like he could breathe again. Over the next few weeks, Emmett and Leo talked regularly. Their conversations were sometimes awkward, sometimes tense, but always honest. Leo asked questions about Emmett's decision to dress as Remy, and Emmett answered as truthfully as he could. In turn, Emmett learned more about Leo's life as a DJ, the pressures he faced, and the loneliness that often came with his lifestyle. Slowly but surely, they began to rebuild the connection they had felt that night at the club. It was different now, more grounded in reality, but no less meaningful. 2 months after their fateful meeting, Leo's tour brought him back to Emmett's city. They agreed to meet for coffee, both nervous and excited to see each other face to face again. As Emmett walked into the cafe, his heart racing, he saw Leo sitting at a corner table. Their eyes met, and Leo stood up, a small smile on his face.
Hi, Emmett,
he said softly.
Hi, Leo,
Emmett replied, his voice equally quiet. There was a moment of awkward silence, then they both laughed, the tension breaking.
I'm really glad you agreed to meet,
Leo said as they sat down. Emmett nodded.
Me too. I wasn't sure you'd want to see me again.
Leo reached across the table, hesitating for a moment before placing his hand over Emmett's.
I'm glad I did. These past few weeks, getting to know the real you, it's been amazing.
Emmett felt a warmth spread through his chest.
I feel the same way.
As they talked, laughed, and shared stories, Emmett realized that the connection he had felt with Leo that night, as Remy hadn't disappeared. If anything, it had grown stronger, built on a foundation of honesty and mutual understanding. When it was time for Leo to leave for his show, they stood outside the cafe, neither wanting to say goodbye.
I have another tour coming up,
Leo said.
But I'd really like to see you again when I'm back.
Emmett smiled.
I'd like that too.
Leo hesitated for a moment, then leaned in and placed a soft kiss on Emmett's cheek.
Thank you for being brave enough to tell me the truth,
he whispered.
And for giving me a chance to know the real you.
As Leo walked away, Emmett touched his cheek, a smile spreading across his face. The night he became Remy had changed his life in ways he never could have imagined. It had been a risk, a moment of impulsivity that could have ended badly. But instead, it had led him to this moment, to a connection that was real, honest, and full of possibility. Emmett knew that he and Leo still had a long way to go. There would be challenges to face, conversations to have, and trust to build. But as he watched Leo disappear into the crowd, Emmett felt a sense of hope and excitement for what the future might hold. He had taken a chance that night at the club, stepping into Remy's stilettos. Now he was taking another chance, being truly himself with someone he cared about. And somehow, that felt even more thrilling than any night spent dancing in a sparkly skirt. As Emmett walked home, the events of the past few months replayed in his mind. From the desperate desire to see his favorite DJ perform, to the wild night as Remy, to the painful but necessary confession, and now to this new beginning with Leo, it had been a journey he never could have anticipated. He realized that while becoming Remy had started as a means to an end, it had become something more. It had given him the confidence to pursue his dreams, to take risks, and to be honest about who he was. In a way, Remy would always be a part of him, not as a disguise, but as a reminder of his own courage and capacity for growth. As he reached his apartment, Emmett's phone buzzed with a text from Leo.
Made it to the venue. Can't stop thinking about our coffee date. Looking forward to many more conversations with the real you.
Emmett smiled, typing back a response. As he hit send, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew he was ready to face them, as Emmett, as the person he truly was. The auburn wig that had started it all lay forgotten in the back of his closet. Emmett no longer needed it to feel special or worthy of attention. He had learned that the most valuable connections come from being authentically yourself, even when it's scary or uncomfortable. As he settled in for the night, Emmett found himself looking forward to the future with a mix of excitement and contentment. He had no idea where his relationship with Leo might lead, but he was eager to find out. More importantly, he was excited to continue discovering himself, not as Remy or anyone else, but as Emmett, in all his complexity and authenticity. The night at the club had been just the beginning. The real adventure, Emmett realized, was the journey of self-discovery and genuine connection that lay ahead, and he was ready for every step of it.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!